And happy March 5th, 2022. I want to thank you all for being here. I do appreciate each and every one of you. If you need to reach out, go down to williehowe.com, fill out the contact form, and someone will respond as soon as possible. I want to thank you all for being here. 8 a.m. on this Saturday. And let's see, 21 of you, 8 likes. Hit that thumbs up button. Let the algorithm know. Good morning, JH, Barry, Jim, Sean, Gibby, Jeremy, Gina, Cody, CH, Aragorn Strider, Roger, Dave, Ryan, Tony with Quick Tech in the house, Terry, Scott, everybody, good morning. Ryan says, morning, Willie, on my way to work to pick up free espresso machine. Life is damn good. Yes, life is good. Life is sweet. So when I was in high school, I had a vending machine route. I had bubblegum machines, bulk vendors, and the name of the company was Gumballs and More. And I had T-shirts that had like a vintage gumball machine on the back, and our little slogan was "Life is sweet." It was kind of neat. Morning, Brian. TN Bighorn in the house. So I don't have any specific news. Well, I do have one thing. So I've got a device right here. If you follow me on social media, you know I posted a little video of this device. It is the brand new Synology router. They did ask me to take those social posts down, so I did because of the embargo. So I accidentally got the cart in front of the horse there. Embargo was supposed to come off this week, but because of manufacturing delays and everything going on in the world right now, it is being pushed back. So it'll be pushed back a couple of weeks, it looks like. But I am very excited about this device. Here is going to be the thing is for like small office, home office, even mid-sized business, the availability of routers and firewalls now is it's huge, right? As you start scaling up into needing, large packet processing and stuff like that, it starts to narrow your field. But for small office, home office, medium-sized business, you can't even believe it. Grandstream does allow me to show things that are in beta. So this is the new Grandstream router. Has a Wi-Fi 6. Can manage 8 access points. This is going to be perfect for small offices, home users. But some of the other offerings that the other vendors have are going to be, this is going to be, once these devices are all not beta or EA, the selection process is going to get very difficult. Because we like all of these brands and we don't, we're going to recommend what's going to work in the situation. Well, then what happens when you get 2 devices that will work for your situation? Well, then it really starts coming down to preference, aesthetic, and things like that. So it'll be interesting. JH says, I've thought about getting into bulk candy, but no one carries coins around. So depending on, if you get into laundromats and pharmacies and things like that, I can see it still being profitable. A lot of the vendors that I know now, all their machines take, you can use a credit card. So yeah, or bills. Good morning, Andy. Gibby says, I noticed in the iOS App Store, there's an app that looks like the new Tower Grandstream router. So the app, you can get the app. The app for it is, we didn't have to do any of the early programs. It is called, by the way, I got the Pixel 6. I finally upgraded my Pixel 3 because I wasn't getting any more security updates. The Pixel 6 is supposed to be supported for 5 years, so here's hoping that I don't have to buy a new phone for 5 years. Let's see. Yeah, the name of that app, let's see. I think it'd be with the G's, right? It is. It's GWN Home. I think maybe you'll see them change that because they're not specifically really going after home users. They're really going after that kind of SMB, So, and JH says, that's why I've been running routers on VMs lately. Yeah, the choice is just for firewalls, even if you are installing your own, the choices are vast and they're good. They're all good. Then it gets to, okay, what's the community like, right? What's the support behind, do you have, those community members that are going to make you feel welcome or ones that are going to make you really feel like outsiders? Ryan says the Streisand effect eats embargoes for breakfast. Let's see. Brian says these odd form factors for things like routers annoys me. Am I alone? So, and that's the thing, right? So I think a lot of these are designed with them either being in a small office, home office, mid-size office, but maybe a place that doesn't have an IT rack, right? I don't know. It's difficult to say what the designers are thinking. Definitely physical designers are different than the software guys, I think. So yeah, and I wish that every option had a rack mount option. What I'm pushing Synology for is to take the awesome guts of these and put them in a 1U appliance. I mean, they already have 1U appliances. Give us a router with 10 gig. I mean, they would kill it. They would absolutely kill it, and I would pay for their IDS, IPS updates at that point. So Synology, if you're listening, if you had a 1U firewall, I would pay a subscription fee or a license fee. I really would. That's how much the Synology stuff is just solid. So Gibby was asking JH, what VM and OS are you using? I'm starting to learn about. So Gibby, I will tell you, I'm a VCP on VMware ESXi 6. I've not pursued any further certification there, but once you've got a good grasp on it, you can pivot to any hypervisor. And I'm using ESXi 7. I actually have the video filmed because we're going to install ESXi 7 on one of my Protectleys. So I've actually got it filmed how to get ESXi 7 because it's not always as straightforward sometimes as what people think. Basically, you have to create a free account with VMware. You have to register for the ESXi download to get the product key, because you get all the features for a 15-day trial, 30-day trial, some sort of trial. And then after that, you have to put in your free license key to keep the basic functionality going. So, morning, Ralph, I wreck it. JH says that he uses Untangle or one of the 2Sense distros. So that would be OpenSense and pfSense. And JH says if you just want routing, it would be VIOS. VIOS is actually what Edge OS and consequently then Unify, the Unify version of Edge OS is based on. Now, I'm probably going to slaughter your name, so forgive me in advance, but good morning, Kamumanji. Kamumanji? If I mispronounce that, let me know. JH says, I'd pay for Edge OS outside of the hardware. I would love to have Edge OS. Now, I'm sure you can emulate it using QEMU, ARM on, yeah, I would. That would be fantastic. But Ubiquity, it depends though. They'd have to update it more frequently than they do for me to pay for it. Ryan says MikroTik has great rack mount options. Yes, they do. And while it is not 100 gig, I am going to, I'm getting a couple switches. I've got some flash drives here that I'm not using, and I'm trading them to somebody for a big QNAP that we're going to put the TrueNAS software on. TrueNAS, FreeNAS. I know they've changed names or whatever. But then I'm also getting a couple MikroTik switches, the ones that have 40 gig, the 40 gig ports. Brian says, if you're just starting to get into running VMs on a Type 1 hypervisor, check out Proxmox. Yes, Proxmox is excellent. And you can also do containerized, you can do containers in it as well as VMs. JH says, I've been using my Synology as a hypervisor and it works great. Yeah, so like if you watched my video using Glenn's scripts on Unify this last week, literally that VM was running on a Synology. So, but what we're going to do for the Protectly is we're going to install ESXi, and then we're going to have an iSCSI target on a Synology, and then that's going to be our storage for ESXi. Roger says, or make a 1U mount for desktop units like the 1U mount Ubiquity makes for the Cloud Key. Yeah, they also make a 1U mount for the Edge router 4, 6, 10, 12, and then those Edge switches too, the Edge switch 10. And so here's the thing too. So there was a comment on one of my videos. In fact, it was the Unify video. So if you go look at the comments on the Unify video, there was a person that said that they'll just continue to run Unify in a Docker and Portainer. And what Portainer is actually a UI management. It's a management system for Docker. And you can do Kubernetes and a couple other things too. But Synology already has that, right? So if you're running Docker on Synology, they've already got a really nice interface for managing all that stuff. I don't personally run the Unify stack in Docker. I would rather have it on a dedicated VM that has bridge networking instead of having the Docker kind of layer happening there. I'd rather let a hypervisor manage that, the back end stuff instead of Docker. And admittedly, that's because I haven't spent enough time with Docker, Kubernetes, any of these other services to be as comfortable with them as I am virtual servers. Now, the concepts look very similar, but containerizing is it's not the same as VMs, but it's not that much. I don't know. It's weird, but I need to learn more about it so I'm more comfortable with it, because I could be totally missing the boat on a lot of this stuff. I've got to get through my CISSP training and certification before I worry about learning Docker and Kubernetes or any of that stuff. Definitely on my list, though. Tony says he's going to build a Proxmox server eventually, but he's running VMs in Synology's Virtual Machine Manager. Yeah, it's great and it's easy. Good morning, TVJ. Gibby says, yeah, I had ESXi, but unfortunately crashed, but just installed Proxmox for a teaching environment or teaching moment for my son. Yeah. When ESXi crashes and you get that purple screen of death, oof, there is nothing worse than a purple screen of death, because, if you're like me, you run mixed operating systems on these VMs, lots of VMs, and it could be in a production environment. And the worst feeling in an IT moment is a 3 a.m. emergency text call to your phone because an entire hypervisor purple screened. That is horrible. TVJ says, I love XCPNG for virtual machines because of the built-in backup tools. Yep. And if you're running ESXi and you have a Synology that can run hyper backup for business, you can back up your VMs for free. You don't need Veeam or anything like that. Yeah, and JH is right, Ryan. Hyper-V is free too, so is ESXi, but depending on what you get, you don't get all the features, right? So obviously with the free version of ESXi, you don't get vMotion. You don't get vSAN. You don't get a lot of these selling. So you have to pay to play with those modules. And once you buy those licenses, then you can start doing, clustering, HA, all kinds of stuff. The free version of ESXi works great for a single server, but it doesn't scale. Maybe 2-3 servers at the most, as long as you have shared storage. But admin engineer, good morning. I do not know anything about the Aruba, that model. But it sounds fun. 4100i harsh environment switches. That'd be awesome to play with. So any other questions, make sure you go ahead and post them in the... I really wish I could show you this router. I don't want to break the embargo. And then somebody asked me for the exact date, and because of an NDA, I can't give you the exact date, but what can we get away with here? Okay. That's about enough skirting with the NDA and the embargo that I'm going to do. So... TVJ says, I had a problem with EXI the other day where both of my servers lost their license keys at the same time. That's weird. What version is it? 6, 6.5, 7? Where are you at with that? We're on version 7. Still got a lot of 6.5 installs out there. So, VMware changed their architecture between 5.5 and 6. And one thing that the web interface for ESXi 7 is okay. It could be better. They could also bring back the installable client. That is my one thing, is I miss that fat client on Windows. So what's everybody else doing today? Is everybody, I'm assuming Unky Joe's going to have a live stream this morning. Is everybody going to go see that? After this, we're going to run to the post and got to run to the post office and take care of the guy. We had a guy come take care of the septic, so we got to do that. I know, exciting, riveting stuff, paying bills. I have to pay my dues for Masonic Lodge, so I got to drop that in the mail. Exciting, exciting times. I do have a big phone system that you're going to see pictures of. It's 52 of one of the latest Grandstream phones, and with 2 UCMs and an HA. So I bought the 6300A, so we can do some videos on that. I'm not going to do specific videos on this customer's equipment besides just showing you how it's hooked up and things like that. And I have to get a couple videos done, which I'm going to shoot exclusively the video on the Pixel 6. So I'm going to release those videos. So if they look, weird, it's because they came off of my Pixel 6. But I'm going to do that because I want to see what the video capabilities are. So, hey, Unky Joe, JH is gardening. He says it's going to be 90 today. So it is going to be between 70 and 80 here, which is amazing. Then the temperature fall. We're supposed to get thunderstorms tonight. Then it starts cooling off tomorrow. Snow on Monday. Typical Illinois, right? You get all 4 seasons in 24 hours. When they say that, it's not a joke. Unky Joe in the house, 10 a.m. He will be streaming. And Proxmox for the win. David Anderson, good morning. Roger says, sat in a presentation for the upcoming version of the A+ exam. CompTIA is shifting the exam to a performance-based test. Review will happen in a few weeks, but it sounds like a good move forward. Yeah, those performance-based tests are fantastic. Let's see. Tony says, it's a beautiful day here today. Think I'm going to put the drone in the air for a while. So I'm actually selling my drone. If you're interested, it's a DJI Spark. I have 2 batteries. One's a little shady. I do have the a case. I do have the external remote control, so I am selling that. If you're interested, shoot me an email. I'm selling it at a pretty good discount. The money is going towards the new DJI Pocket 2, which is their handheld gimbal camera. So I'm trying to reduce the amount of gear that I have, because I've just experimented over the years, and so trying to clean that up. TVJ says, I'm going to go out and enjoy the 65-degree weather. I live near Toledo, so this is a heat wave. Yeah, 70 today will definitely be a heat wave for us. Roger says, sounds like this will be a shift for other CompTIA tests going forward. That's interesting. David asks, are you loving the Pixel 6? So I like the Pixel 6, except I can't send text messages at the moment, and I can't turn on Wi-Fi calling. And the reason is because I took the SIM card out of my Pixel 3 and put it in my Pixel 6. So now I have to go get a new SIM card today. That's also on the list of things to do. And then my Wi-Fi calling should work, and my text messaging. Aragorn says, snowing in Denver today, high of 36 degrees. Yeah, I think we've got, when does actual spring begin? Like, what do they call that? Hold on. First day of spring 2022 will be March 20th. So we've still got 2 weeks of winter left. And so people here in Illinois just need to remember that and settle down. JH says, going to take the long 15-minute trek to the beach too. Well, you have fun on the beach. One of these days we're gonna visit the beach. Ralph says, you do get all the features on EXI during the eval period. Yes, you do. I think I might have mentioned that, maybe not. But then, yeah, when it expires, all those features go away. And so you use the keywords, evaluation period or demo. You are literally, if you're using it on the same hardware, you're probably literally violating the license agreement, and you are effectively pirating software. So you might want to look into that. I can't condone that at all. Jeremy says, I'm on my way to work. Just made a pit stop for something to drink. Well, have fun. have fun, Jeremy. And if you want to see somebody who's super into Linux and super understands what he's doing on Linux, go check out Jeremy's channel. JH says, yeah, I'm reducing my hobbies. Bees didn't make it, so I don't think I'll be getting new ones this year. I actually wanted to get into beekeeping. I really did want to get into beekeeping, but I need to be able to get to the south of us. There's some people, they own 54 acres, and I want to buy 2 or 3 acres behind us. And then that would be perfect if I had that much property back there to be able to put things like bees. Gibby says, here in Oklahoma, just wait an hour and the weather will change. Yeah, it's like that a lot of places. Yep. So Unky Joe says, been enjoying all of your videos lately. Nice to see you making them again. So I've been making videos, yeah, but not all of them have been instructional, right? So we're trying to get back to that. So hopefully that's what you mean, Unky Joe, is that some of my videos were just so boring you weren't compelled to watch them. No, they don't have the eSIM. It's a physical SIM. David, I'll let you know for sure. But I was told that I needed to come in and get a new SIM for all the features to work. So, Ralph Ireka says, I just did the A+ last week with my stepdaughter. My old A+ was from 1999. Yeah, so now you've got yourself in, which is, in my opinion, a good thing, in the continuing education track, right? So you have to keep getting CEUs or go sitting for the exam for it to stay valid. I like that. In fact, if they emailed me and said, hey, we know, because I've got my A+, my Network Plus, my Security Plus, if they said, hey, we're going to convert you over where you're going to have CEUs, that'd be fine by me, because then that's going to force me to make sure that I'm staying up to date. Now, I stay up to date anyway, and I'm always reading and watching and learning and experimenting, but sometimes having that accountability mechanism behind it is a wonderful thing. So what's everybody else doing this weekend? Blaine says, can you make a newbie video on Unify logging? Blaine, I actually believe I do have a video on that. Or are you talking about using like the log features that are built into the new version? If everybody hasn't seen, there's a new Unify version 7 out. I will be doing a video on that. I want to get my Grandstream GWN 7664 video out first. Yeah, and then we'll do that. Alonzo says the ITIL cert. So ITIL is, services about how you're, it's a framework for managing departments and things like that. It's good, but sometimes you're going to run into places, and you can adapt it, right? You can kind of collapse some of those things onto each other. But when you're like a 3-person department, not all of those things are going to apply, or if they do apply, then you have to figure out how to make them work with other things. So I think the ITIL cert is good. I think it's one of those frameworks, like Scrum Master, PMP, like those kinds of things. I think they're good. Yeah, Professor Messer. I've heard people say that they don't like him, but I mean, I don't mind him. Free cert stuff on YouTube. You can't beat that. The only thing that it takes up is your time, because you're going to use a computer and the internet anyway. So now you're just using time. Ralph says we spent $189,000 on bees for almond bloom this year. Holy cow. That is a wow, 189,000. How many did you had to get like millions of bees, right? For $189,000. Sean says, I started moving some sites from 5.14 controller to the 7.0.23. You should, because the 5 is vulnerable to logjam. So if you're running anything pre 6.55 on Unify, you need to upgrade it now, because the LogJ vulnerability exists. Let's see. Ryan Sharp says, okay, let's try this again. The Shell on Sterling is at $4.60. Ryan, is that for the cheapest gas or the most expensive gas? So regular unleaded at a Casey's in Wyoming, Illinois on Tuesday night was $4.19. That was the cheapest unleaded gas that they had, $4.19. And then a lot of these gas stations have 2 or 3 different grades of gas. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to stop. I was told to prepare for $5 to $6 gasoline by summer. So I don't know. We're not going to get into the logistics of all that, but yeah, it is definitely, you want people to start. So companies are hoping that people will forget, some companies are hoping that people will forget the last 2 years, and we're just going to make you come back to the office and do this and that and the other thing. But gas prices keep going up. People are going to be like, look, I just want to work from home, and if your job can be done from home, why not? JH says, yeah, bees ain't cheap. No, they are not. No hobbies that you get really good at are really cheap. Gibby says, also going to finish spinning up an Omada controller. The Omada controller is fantastic. And I think TP-Link is going to be giving Ubiquity a run for their money as well. They already are. I already have clients who are looking at it. And they're looking at it from the standpoint of, do we switch everything or do we run 2 different services? And some of them have elected to run 2 different services, and some of them have elected to switch. So, let's see. Sean says, one of the many reasons to move, we don't have the controller publicly facing as it's all behind a VPN. That's good, but you still have, unless every site's VPN Unify gear or not using Unify gear, you're still going to have 8080 open or whatever your Inform port is, and 3478 for stun. So you still got some exposure there. Tony says, have you moved to 7.0.23 in production yet? No, production is still 6.5.55 for the moment. The controllers that I manage have more than one site. And so it's not something, even though other people are doing videos on it, it's not something that I just hop on. I definitely do test it. Bob says, gas in Vancouver in Canada is about $6 USD right now, regular. Is that, are you telling me that in gallons, Bob, or in liters? Or is that the conversion? Yeah, so admin engineer says if you run it on Linux and had the Linux updated, but we're running 6.5.4 and upgraded to 7.0.23, it fixes the vulnerability. Even if it was compromised before, do you need to download it? So if you were compromised, and I've had a couple servers that we worked with that were compromised, take a backup of your data, blow the controller out completely, use get on the latest version of Ubuntu server, which the latest LTS as of right now is 20.04. 22.04 will be coming soon, but then use Glenn's script, reinstall, put your key store back. Don't forget to make a copy of your key store if you've got a custom SSL certificate. Copy your key store, get your backup, blow the controller away completely. If you've been compromised, do fresh install, import your backup. Yeah, so Blaine says unleaded in Alberta is $1.56 a liter. Yep. Tony says gas pricing is making me ride the Harley way more often, which is not a bad thing. Yeah, that's fantastic. TN Bighorn says the problem is a lot of these corporations and figured out that they don't need offices full of people and they can have remote workers. Yeah, I agree. But I want it to stay American workers. JH says at those gas prices, I need to get a Vespa. Yeah, and you could probably ride a Vespa most of the year. Morning, Harrison. Sean says, yes, sir, we do not use any Ubiquity routing hardware. So, I know there are people who are real bullish on the Ubiquity routing hardware, but for probably 75% of all networks out there, the Ubiquity routing hardware will work just fine, depending on your goals. So, once again, it comes down to preference. Lock 100 IT guys in a room, I should say 100 IT people in a room, and ask a question, get 100 different opinions on how to do it. And, probably 95 of those will be valid. So Bob says it's $2 Canadian per liter, so $6 USD converted per gallon. Yeah, that's crazy. Ralph says, not sure how many hives we got, but we bring in about 20 million pounds of almonds last year. Jeez Louise. Yeah, and I'm snacking on almonds and walnuts, and I appreciate that, Ralph. Cody says, yeah, Bob Carpenter gas is nuts in Canada right now. Admin engineer says, any way to detect the compromise on Ubuntu 20.04? So what we've seen on a compromised server is that there's a Linux process that's running that has the name Unify in it, but it's nothing. And every time we've done it and we've looked at the process, if you do a PSAX, it's the very last process running on the systems that I've seen. Now, granted, I've only seen like 2 or 3 of these that have been compromised, but you will definitely notice your controller will be, could be a little slower, but definitely look for those processes. Ryan says, I was in Wyoming Wednesday fixing their register. Oh, do you guys have the Casey's contract? Ralph says, on Unify AP, is it normal to not be able to have the device on a VLAN that is not one of the VLANs of the SSIDs? So they changed that where you couldn't do overrides, so you have to do AP groups now. So you can, it's just you have to do it a little differently. So it does still work. Cody says, I like the Unify routing, but yes, a lot of people don't like it. Yeah, and I don't know, with some of the new stuff, I get it, right? I understand wanting to log into a router and have all the features available. And even myself, yes, I've been tough on Ubiquity about their routing stuff. But for, like I said, 75% of what you're doing, it's going to work just fine. The edge line needs IDS, IPS. After that, it's golden. But people are used to, like, the sense, OpenSense comes with all the things to do all the things, and in an environment that doesn't need advanced features, Unify is a good fit. Yeah, we're installing a lot of Grandstream APs and TP-Link APs. So, well, I'll tell you what, folks, it's 8:35. I want to thank you for spending about a half hour this morning with me. If you get bored, reach out to me. You can email me, fill out the contact form. I hope you all have a fantastic Saturday. And, once again, I want to thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.